Hello everybody, Jordan here. The PH is silent. Let's talk about the Sundering. Now this is kind of a vague topic for being such a big event that happened in D&D history, so I hope this video helps alleviate that. Let's start at the beginning with the first Sundering. Well, the beginning of the beginning, not necessarily the first Sundering, but when Abier and Toril were split apart. Way back in my third video called The Dawn War, we talked about how Lord Ao split Abier and Toril into two separate entities. Essentially, Abier and Toril were sundered. Now, there was some retconning or lore gap filling for 4th and 5th edition, so as of 5th edition, this is what happened. When the planet was sundered in two, the primordials and their home of the elemental chaos went with Abier. The deities and the astral plane went with Toril, each group overseeing the section they received. During this process, Lord Ao also wrote the Tablets of Fate, which outlined all the responsibilities of the gods. Each was assigned a portfolio that determines the area of interest that a deity both represents and has power over. Ideas, emotions, race, schools of magic, and other topics are potential portfolios. For example, luck or the harvest, death, lying, magic, daylight, halflings, spiders, and nature are all portfolios for specific gods. These were written into the Tablets of Fate, determining which god represented which idea, etc. Now, flash forward to negative 17,600 DR to the first Sundering. Some high elves were casting a ritual to create a brand new island called the Isle of Evermeet. This was to be a safe haven for the elves, part of Faerun, but separate and for elves only. The elves built a fancy tower at the casting site and gathered before sunrise to start this very complex spell. They unleashed the magic of the weave and funneled it through their bodies, fueling the spell with their own life force. There was much destruction along the Sword Coast and several lives were lost. However, the spell was successful and Evermeet rose from the depths of the sea. At Evermeet, the elves met the gods Corellon and Angarath, who revealed that they had helped in their success at creating Evermeet. Now, the magic that created Evermeet was the same magic that Ao used to sunder Abier and Toril originally. This first sundering sent a ripple backwards and forwards in time, connecting with the magic that caused the original sundering and the second sundering. This magic was linked to the Tablets of Fate, which met a timely end during the Time of Troubles. During the Time of Troubles, which occurred in 1358 DR, three gods stole the Tablets of Fate to rewrite them in order to give themselves more power. They wanted to own more divine portfolios and have dominion over numerous aspects of Toril. Lord Ao was furious when he found out that the tablets were stolen, so he kicked everyone out of the astral plane to walk around Faerun as mortals until the tablets were returned. They eventually were. You can watch my video on the Time of Troubles for more info, but after they were returned, Lord Ao destroyed the tablets, grinding them into powder. This caused all kinds of problems. Without the Tablets of Fate and their magic, Abier and Toril would slowly merge back together. Now, this time period was known as the Era of Upheaval, and the merging was sped up in 1385 DR by the Spell Plague. We learned that not only did the tablets have the portfolios of the gods written on them, but they also defined the laws of realm space and kept it stable. Without them, chaos ensued. Now we get to the second Sundering. All this chaos from the Spell Plague, whole sections of Abier were appearing on Toril and vice versa. The elemental chaos came back into play. Lord Ao decided to put a stop to it. Using that same sundering magic, Lord Ao recreated the Tablets of Fate. This separated Abier and Toril once again, which occurred around 1482, but it wasn't an instantaneous process. Recreating the Tablets of Fate ended up pushing a very large reset button on the Forgotten Realms. It pushed D&D 5th edition to resemble AD&D lore-wise. It's kind of odd, but here's what changed. Many gods started creating what came to be referred to as chosen among the mortals. They wanted to gather as many worshippers and thus power to increase their ranking before Ao completed the new Tablets of Fate, which would then seal their status in their portfolios. These chosen had special powers and were directly influenced by their deity. Now, something called the Great Rain started around the Sea of Fallen Stars. It rained for an entire year and caused the waters to rise back to their pre-Spell Plague levels. The host tower of the Arcane in Luskan, which kept the primordial in check that woke up and destroyed Neverwinter. The tower was destroyed in 1376 DR, and now it was rebuilt in 1487 DR to quiet the primordial back into slumber. Major earthquakes and volcanoes occurred as Abier separated from Toril once again. Areas consumed by large chasms were restored to their pre-spell plague status. Ships from continents previously lost were arriving on the mainland once more. Mystra returned again. A vestige of Mystra survived her death in 1385 DR and was guiding a chosen to aid in her renewal. The symbol was tasked with closing multiple rifts in the weave, and in doing so she absorbed much silver fire and blue flame. The symbol gifted this energy to Elminster, who then returned it to Mystra. The new Mystra was a combination of Mystra, Midnight, and Mistral, drawing from memories that were left in the weave. By the end of the Second Sundering, the effects of the spell plague had been completely reversed. Earth motes had fallen, the Sea of Fallen Stars was refilled, the Underchasm, a huge canyon created by the spell plague, had also refilled. Evermeet was restored to Toril. Many deities previously thought dead or missing returned to life or re-emerged. Mystra, of course, came back again, but also Helm, Mask, Lathander, Baal, and the previously lost drow gods. Azuth returned when Asmodeus freed him in exchange for a divine spark so that he could become a deity by himself, and Azuth, now free, returned to the Faerun pantheon. Finally, the cosmology was changed again. It went from the world access cosmology, reverting back to the Great Wheel cosmology, but kept the Feywild and the Shadowfell as well as the elemental chaos. Literally everything that the D&D community hated about 4th edition was reversed. The Tablets of Fate restored, numerous gods resurrected, and the land of Faerun returned to its pre-spell plague status. Wizards of the Coast hit a big reset button on their franchise, and they returned it back to the TSR days. The Second Sundering, which was announced in 2012, stated that this event would, in game terms, reflect the new playstyle dubbed D&D Next, which is now commonly referred to as D&D 5th edition. And that's it. Lord Ao recreated the Tablets of Fate, and the worlds were reseparated. All of the original gods kind of came back, and just D&D had a big reset button hit on it. The current year of the Forgotten Realms is 1491 DR, and we've gone from the creation of the world to the Second Sundering, and this has been a very rough and broad history, but we did it. I have more videos planned. They'll be more detailed, like specific looks at cities or events, so stay tuned. And thanks everyone for going on this ride with me. Please like this video if you liked it, and thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys all next Wednesday.